The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the recent airstrikes on Gaza are, quote, only the beginning of his government's plans to eliminate Hamas and bring home the remaining Israeli hostages. The attacks hit cities across the territory. Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry says they killed over 400 Palestinians, including many children. They are a breach of a ceasefire agreement with Hamas that had been in place since January.
The day after Israel's bombardment, Gazans fear a return to war.
We thought the peace would last and the war was over, but we all woke up terrified. The children were screaming and we were horrified, thinking, what on earth happened?
We thought Ramadan would go well, that God would help stop the war. But the war has returned and it's even dirtier than before.
The attacks were condemned by the UN Security Council.
We cannot and must not accept a return to pre-ceasefire conditions or the complete denial of humanitarian relief.
Footage released by the IDF shows the overnight strikes. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz warned Hamas that if they do not release the remaining Israeli hostages held in Gaza, the gates of hell will open. But many Israelis do not want the fighting to resume. Mirav Svirsky's parents were murdered by Hamas on October 7th. Her brother Ireh was taken hostage and died in captivity. She is one of the many relatives who believe that extending the war will only threaten the lives of the remaining Israeli hostages still alive in Gaza.
The Israeli government is choosing an endless war over rescuing and returning the hostages, thereby sacrificing them to their deaths. This is criminal policy. You, the government, have no mandate to sacrifice the hostages.
There is mounting pressure on the Israeli government to end the fighting and ensure a permanent ceasefire.
I'm very pleased to welcome Yehuda Cohen. He's the father of soldier and hostage Nimrod Cohen, who is still in Gaza. He's joining us now from Rehovot, a city south of Tel Aviv. Welcome, Yehuda. Thank you so much for your time. Can I start by asking you how you felt when you heard about these airstrikes and you heard Hamas describe the breakdown of the ceasefire as a death sentence for the hostages?
Yeah, I heard it this morning about 7 o'clock Israel time when I woke up. First thing is to look at the media, see what's happening. So that's what I saw. And it's clearly known that it's been done for political reasons. We already see it. Ben-Gvir is coming back to the coalition, coming back to Netanyahu. And this is the only reason Netanyahu did it. He doesn't care for the hostages. He's only caring for his personal survival, his coalition to survive. He did it to maintain Smotrich and to bring back Ben-Gvir to his coalition. This is his only reason. Need to emphasize that part of the first deal agreement was the withdrawal from the Philadelphia corridor, which wasn't done at the end on the 50th day. And of course, starting the negotiation of the second part from the 16th day, which didn't happen till now. We know that it's the solution, getting all the hostages freed, including my son Nimrod, is only going through to the second part, which means permanent ceasefire, which we wanted to, IDF withdrawal, and of course prisoners exchange, which Netanyahu refused to do that for political and personal reasons.
Yehuda, can I ask you, did you get any prior warning about the airstrikes from the Israeli authorities?
No, nothing. As I said, 7 o'clock in the morning, woke up, looked at the phone, and saw that an airstrike started about 2 o'clock in the middle of the night. Nobody warns us, nobody updates us, nobody is giving us any information in general regarding the war or regarding any progress or non-progress in the hostage deal.
You've taken extraordinary steps, including going to the International Criminal Court, I believe, to urge international pressure on the Israeli Prime Minister. Do you think that there's anything else that can be done to change the government's decision to now resume airstrikes?
Well, we're trying to change the government decision regarding the hostage deal from every angle, every possible angle, including the ICC from one side, and including going through Trump's administration, Trump's people, to ask them to thank them for what they're doing. We're doing all that is possible. We know that our main way to influence the government is from outside, meaning from other governments or other international organizations, including the ICC, including the UN, including main governments like the US, like Germany, Britain, France. We're trying from every possible angle. Must emphasize that the only way to force Netanyahu, emphasizing force Netanyahu to go for a hostage deal, is to make him get to a position that his survival will be through a hostage deal. That's why we're working from outside.
This morning, an Israel Defense Forces spokesperson said they are fighting for the release of the hostages. What do you make of that statement?
Well, I don't believe them. They are working to maintain the government. We know that after Netanyahu got rid of the former Minister of Defense, Gallant, who said out loud that the war can be stopped and a hostage deal can go through, after that, we can always go back. This is the reason why he fired him. He took care of getting rid of the former chief of staff, and now he's working on firing the head of the Shabak, only to secure his coalition, only to satisfy his extremist demand, which is continuing war. And for them, the reason is to get a permanent occupation in Gaza and get back the settlements. That's their main interest. Netanyahu's interest is maintaining his coalition in two ways. First, satisfying his extremists in terms of getting what they want. And for him is continuing the war, so we can always say, it's not time for investigation, it's not time to ask questions. We're at war, so let's be quiet and continue the war. To what direction? I don't know.
You're talking about the corruption charges that he's facing and that he would be facing after if he stepped down from power. I wanted to ask you, Yehuda, you mentioned that you had received a message, I believe, from two of the hostages who have now been released about your son. Can you tell us more about that message?
Well, two hostages, one of them by name is Yehuda Cohen, which I talked to him in person, said that they were with him for the last 8 months before they were released. 8 months is a long time. They were together down in the tunnels. So from first hand, I got what's called sign of life about my son Nimrod. He's there, he's alive, he's well, he's fighting. We're fighting for him. And we have to make sure he will be released. Further than that, there was a video that a few weeks ago Hamas released showing the departing between the Horn brothers. He was there, his face was blurred, but we recognized him by the tattoo on his arm.
Yehuda Cohen, father of hostage Nimrod Cohen, who is being held in Gaza. Yehuda, I'd like to thank you so much for your time and for speaking to us.
Thank you for letting me hear my word. Thank you very much.
for more. Let's bring in Karim El-Gawhary, a journalist based in Cairo. Welcome, Karim. What is the latest that you're hearing from your sources about the fact that Israel has resumed attacks on Gaza?
Yeah, basically, the Israeli offensive to the Gaza Strip resumed since yesterday night. People are pretty desperate. We have a situation where, of course, not only for 17 days there is no aid delivery coming into the Gaza Strip. In addition, now we have the fact that the Israeli offensive starts again. Also in a very symbolic time for people. We are in the middle of Ramadan. As we speak right now, people are breaking their fast. So a very, very desperate situation right now in the Gaza Strip.
Now, Israel is blaming Hamas for the collapse of negotiations, which Egypt helped to mediate. Are you hearing anything in Cairo about where things stand now?
I think there's a lot of anger right now, not only in Cairo, but in the whole Arab world. I mean, you need to know, of course, just a few days ago, there were heads of the Arab states were sitting together, trying to put together a plan, what happens with Gaza for the day after, how Gaza is going to be rebuilt. All this, of course, with the renewal of the offensive is now gone. In addition to that, we know that that this decision to start the offensive again is a decision that was made a week ago. A week ago, there was a meeting in Qatar with delegations of Hamas and with the delegations of Israel, where they were trying to basically negotiate the start of a second phase of the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. And on this very same time, obviously, the decision was made by Netanyahu to restart the offensive. There a lot of anger in the Arab world. And when it comes to hostages and so on, I mean, the fact is that here they see that for Netanyahu, this is not about the hostages. That's the belief here. Because if it would be about the hostages, he would have gone into the second phase.
Karim, I'm sorry, we're running out of time, but I just want to thank you so much for joining us.